All right, everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to the Pulver Report. It is 9 o'clock on the 10th of May. Let's go ahead and get started. Happy Monday, everybody. Let's go ahead and kick this things off. We got a busy week. Last week was a great week in stocks and options. Interesting week in Forex. We'll talk about that. I want to talk about some stocks, some earnings, some swing trades, some volatility, get into some Forex pairs, talk about commodities, see where some of the sectors are at. Lots to discuss today. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the charts and bring over the little risk disclaimer. So just give me a second here because we need to know that there's risk in trading. You understand it's risk in trading. Please and always use trade capital only. Do not trade with money you cannot afford to lose. Yes, whether you're trading stocks, options, futures, forex, cryptocurrencies, it's trade capital, and you know what you're signing up for. Okay, all right, let's get into the charts. I wanted to start off with where everything finished last week. I suppose thanks in part to a softer jobs report. If anyone joined me for the trading battle last week on Friday, that was an excellent session. Had a lot of fun. I will try to get the recording for that as soon as I can for this week, and I'll post it in this week's Outlook, and I'll probably post it on Friday's session as well, just to have the link in the description of these videos. But we did manage to have a massive turnaround for the week. Last week, we saw Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday selling off, Thursday morning selling off, and then Thursday afternoon into Friday, the market just had this massive turnaround. So we're looking at the SPY right now with about a 36-cent pre-market open. We're looking at the Dow Jones, which is ridiculously overbought. One of my favorite alignments is divergence in overbought conditions. We're seeing this on the Dow Jones on the daily chart. The lows. I keep going back to this, how much this thing has rallied. We are up 13, almost 14% on the Dow since March. And straight up, we went up, we pulled back, we went up. I mean, you're getting some pauses, some pullbacks, but I would be very surprised if this last leg here is not the kind of blow-off top, euphoric top that ends up ending badly. Now, I don't know the timing, of course. That's not in my control. But do we continue to run hard this week? Do we run hot this week and see the market just continue to relentlessly buy and push this bull market? If we take a look at Forex Factory or an economic calendar from last week, let's go to this week. This week, high impact. We have mostly medium impact for this week. Let's go high impact and see what we have in the calendar. It's a very light calendar. Bank of England, Bailey speaking, CPI news for the U.S. on Wednesday. That'll be an interesting one to watch. The Fed is having to acknowledge that inflation is running hot. I mean, we have real estate at ridiculous levels where people are offering, cash and well over asking, sight unseen. We have, just go to the store, right? Go to the grocery store, go to your Home Depot, your Lowe's. I mean, everything is more expensive. But the Fed is not really acknowledging it. And last week's job report, this is what I want to talk about. Last week's job report was the perfect alibi to keep this accommodative narrative, which means the Fed is looking to keep things as stimulus-oriented as possible. So we expected almost 1 million jobs from April, and the news came in at 266. So it was well under forecast. We had a negative revision. Our unemployment rate went 0.3% higher, but our average earnings were way up there, which I don't know how the numbers have been that far off. I mean, if you take a look at the last several prints, forecasted 0.1 came in 0.3, forecasted 0.2 came in 0.8, which would have been probably another round of stimulus or holiday pay. 0.3 came in 0.2, 0.2 came in 0.2. So to see it go from a forecasted of 0 to 0.7, that's a huge tick to the upside. That doesn't mean it's a good thing. For the last 6+ months, the last year really, I haven't taken the news numbers as seriously because we're just in this permanent recovery phase. We also had some news on the CAD last week. Unemployment was 0.3% higher. Another big miss for Canada last week. We're going to take a look at the currency strength chart from today. And the pound is extremely strong. The Aussie's doing pretty well. Everything else is fairly stuck. But the pound had a massive day right out of the gates. I mean, this is pretty unusual. I'm going to see if anybody wants to chat and tell me what exactly happened in the pound pairs this morning. So I'm going to look at some real-time news here for the pound. So let's go to, I use this website, financialjuice.com, and I'm going to look to see what happened on the Great British Pound. So we have two reasons why the pound fell, or the pound rose by 1.5% on Friday. Okay, let's see what those two reasons are. I do know that the pound, the Bank of England was talking about some potential, tapering as soon as June or July. Rose by 1.5% on Monday. This happened as investors reacted to the latest U.S. non-farm robust UK house price index data. So it surged. Market reflected 41.20. Wow, that's right up towards those recent highs. That is a crazy big move. Now, I'm going to look at price because I feel like this movement is so violent and so inefficient that we're probably going to have some levels of trade back towards. Now, keep in mind, I keep talking about April and May. April and May is a pre-summer push. Now, if the market is looking for an excuse to trend, this might be the currency pair that gets some love over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks. Okay? All right. Yep. So Charles says pound CAD's been moving this morning. Yeah, pretty much everything has, right? So house prices rally. Okay, housing sector, pound forecast. They're looking for the big breakout. I think that we can run up into the. If you remember these highs I talked about, 4,200. I was a little reluctant to short the pound at 4,000, but I think 4,200 looks great. I can see the chart. We'll go to my charts here in a second. But if we run up to this level and we do it inefficiently, I'm probably looking to fade that move back down. Okay, but that's going to have to come with some confirmation because the pre-summer push is always something that's fairly strong. All right, so let's take a look at the charts. Let's take a look at all these pound crosses. Anything on the NASDAQ? NASDAQ has a big indecision week ahead. 332 pre-market on the NASDAQ or the QQQ. So what's going to be important on tech is, do we end up breaking the highs or breaking the lows? Tech could work its way right back down to this 100 simple moving average, or we could come up back to the highs. So we'll have to find out what tech wants to do today, this week. Watch the high from last week, watch the low from last week, and see if we get some closes above or below. Volatility had some excitement early on, smashed it right back down to those lows. I do want to take a look at some sectors real quick before we go into currencies. This is basic materials. I was actually looking for a chance to short this thing, but basic materials, paper products, raw materials. This probably isn't the sector I want to short yet. What could be a great setup is if lumber prices start hitting some highs and drop, then we'll probably see this sector, this is a ticker XLB, start to balance out a little bit more. So we have several monthly targets. We have a really overstretched move from this 200 simple moving average. In fact, let me check the numbers on that. We are sitting at 218 bars from the 200 simple moving average, which is a lot. And it does look like we have a bit of a stretch, possibly a blow-off level, possibly a continuation move or a capitulation move on XLB. A couple of monthly pivots, like I said, and but again, the timing might be too soon, right? I don't want to short things too soon because the one thing you have to deal with if you're trading options is if you don't time it right, you don't make money. So, and that's not for all strategies, but for one like this, if I'm looking to buy myself some time on this short, I need to probably have a month plus, maybe 4, 6 to 8 weeks out to see if I can be relatively accurate with getting this thing to sell off. So maybe what I do is hold off for today and I see how the week ends up. Because if we end up forming a really nice bear pattern by the end of the week, then I'll be looking for that to possibly short for the next maybe 2 to 4 weeks. But just looking at basic materials, here's lumber, random length lumber right here for its 8th straight week. 8 straight weeks. And we talked about this last Friday. We have, I believe, 6 of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weekly pivots in a row. That's insane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 6 out of 7 in a row. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So do I expect, lumber to find a way to come back down and just pull back a little bit? Yes. Does that help, that ticker like XLB, the basic material sector? Possibly. But I've said this also for the last several weeks. Don't fight it. I mean, it doesn't do anybody any good unless you're trading with a stop loss. We have some amazing technicals. We're looking at pretty much a vertical trend line, something like that is straight up. I would just, I don't know. I mean, look, it's a calculated risk. You're either right or you're not, but I wouldn't fight it. I think that if we have, maybe a violent candle to the downside, we look to see if we can sell it, sell it on a pullback and see if this will actually balance a little bit. So I don't know. This is part of my watch list for the week. Okay, so I'll be watching lumber. We'll go into, let's look at some stocks with earnings this week as well, but I'll do that in a second. I want to take a look at those pound crosses. So let's go pound Aussie. Okay, pound Aussie over the last couple of days. Let me get rid of these moving averages for a moment. There we go. So let me look at some price action. Okay, so pound Aussie still sideways. Couple of major levels, lows, highs. I'm looking to short. I'm looking to go long. I'm looking to basically trade this range. Resistance levels around 8050, 8100 on the high side, and support around 7800 on the pound Aussie. Let's go pound CAD. Okay, pound CAD has been moving nicely. Really nice oversold conditions. It is popping up here. We had a little bit of a run. I really wish I was in that pound CAD from last Friday because I wanted to be long on that. It just continued for the entire day. So we have pushed up for the day. We have a monthly pivot right at, let me check the price on that monthly pivot, 71.71. So if there's any type of pullback here, if we have this low to this high, if the pound CAD settles back down at all for the day, I would look for some continuation higher on pound CAD. We may also be looking for a much bigger trade. All right, let's not ignore the fact that we have massive support over here on the pound CAD. All right, if we come back at all, I think that this level, down to this level, down to this level, I really like being long on that pound Canadian. And I don't think, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong here, did we get picked up on any pound CAD trades? We should have, right? We had lows at 68.50 and we had highs at 7,000. We should have been picked up on a pound CAD trade to the upside. I hope. Now it was quick. I'm going to check my my robot prices here in a second. But pound CAD is going to the upside. The pound Swiss is back up to 27.09. I want to see if this one can settle back in a little bit lower. Looks like a lot of these pound crosses are heading towards these monthly targets, which is fine for the near term. That's fine. So that's pound Swiss. Okay, pound yen goes right up and tests the highs. Again, you know, the good and the bad. The good is it runs up to the highs. So anybody that's long, you know, just blows off those levels. Anybody that's short, obviously this is not fun, right? Nobody loves being short and watch this thing go literally straight up for 200 pips. However, if this high is going to get respected at all, do we end up coming back down this week? Like I've seen this happen in the pound pairs of, you know, that basket compared to many others. You know, we can have this amazing start for the week, and then the rest of the week, the pound can just come all the way back down. So if that is the case, then, you know, we're not really talking pre-summer push or trends in the pound. We're talking just, you know, crazy amounts of volume and then crazy amounts of volume to balance. And so if it just becomes an imbalanced movement, I wouldn't be surprised if by Friday we have this conversation and see that the pound is back where we started. Now, I could be wrong, right? I mean, this could be going up here, pausing, and then pushing higher. And that is a flag pattern that we can trade, stop loss nice and tight, and just go with that flow and see if the pound continues to get some bids this week. If it doesn't, watch for the pound pairs to have this blow-off move, pausing, and instead of a bull flag, we end up breaking back down and heading to balance. And the whole breakout point from this week when it started on Sunday evening when the market first opened, this pound yen example is 152. So if we end up finding some highs, dropping back to 152 or coming back into these lows at 150, 150, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that by Friday. Okay. All right. Pound New Zealand. This one we were looking for some upward movement. I don't love this currency pair. We've been really, really sideways. I'm going to stay out of this one. Pound dollar, I think, has a potential promising setup. And just look at how this thing just came out swinging. You know, 39.31 is the new pivot for the week. We're coming right back up to retest these highs. Because it's moving straight up, here's what I need to watch and consider. If it heads up into this area, I'm not going to level into the pound. I think that is silly to level into the pound, right? The margin is higher. The volatility is higher. It's going to be the type of trade where, see how we had this high, low, lower high, and then we push down? So if we have a high, low, lower high, lower low, or if we have a high that gets retested, check the double top, look for this. But I mean, I would say that if we're wrong, I would want to get out of this trade with a stop loss if I'm wrong on the pound dollar. Okay, but what I'm going to look for is for this level to get retested, which is around 4,200, 1.4200. If we hit that level, I'm going to look to see if I can fade that move back down. Okay, if it starts to fall now and I don't get filled at 1.42, then I'll wait. Okay, because we might still find it for the week. We might want to connect the lows and look for a trend line break before we just jump in and automatically assume we're going to short it at 142. All right, so we'll talk about this a lot in the flex room this week. I think tomorrow's session will focus a lot on these pound crosses, depending on where today's price action and structure goes. Okay, we good? All right, so that's pound dollar. Euro pound is the other one. This should be pushing back down towards some lows, which I'm totally okay with. Okay, euro pound coming back down towards these lows. We have some recent pockets on the swing, a couple levels to watch. We have some nice support on the euro pound right here, pretty much at current price at 8,600. We have some amazing support down here at 8,500. Now, we could drop as low as 8,300. Here is the euro pound right here. So could we drop a little bit lower on the euro pound? Sure. And so if we do, I'm looking for this 8,400 to 8,300 level to offer some support and see if the euro pound can trade right back up into this range high. So it's just to me, it's a big range. Now, I know that we have some pocket levels back in here from 2016 with the Scottish referendum and Brexit. That was 5 years ago now. But we have massive support here, and I'm looking for future support as well, right around that 8,300 handle. So I still like long. I have my robot deployed here. Price Action Pro is looking to get long in that 84 to 8,300 area, and I think that's a good deployment for right now. Okay, I would like to take a look at some yen pairs really quickly. So Aussie yen. Okay, we're at 85.70. Daily chart is hitting some highs. Okay, daily charts also getting back up towards overbought conditions. Weekly charts, take a look. Okay, weekly chart showing some disagreement. Take a look. Do we have a higher price? Yes or no? Right here. Do we have a high in price? Do we have a slightly higher high from today? Do we see that getting disagreement? Do we see that that's an equal highs or overbought conditions? Now, again, this type of alignment when I'm looking at a momentum oscillator and relative strength, this is an anticipatory alignment. So what that means is I know that I might be trying to sell this instrument too early. Okay, and so if this wants to run up to the backside of the trend line, look for some indecision, and then start to drop, just take a look at some of my measurements. I have a swing from this low to this high. I have a 1.8 and a 127 extension around 8,800. So if it runs up to that level, this could be that kind of invisible resistance, and we end up working our way back down to this low again. Now, if that's the case, at this area, I'm getting the heck out of this trade for profit. Okay, if it doesn't go that high, maybe it stalls right here, and we start working our way back down early. But judging by last Thursday's push and last Friday's push and a weaker job report, I feel like that's the perfect excuse right now for the stock market to keep drifting and seeing the dollar get hit a little bit, seeing some of these safe haven pairs get hit a little bit, like the Swiss, like the euro, like the dollar, like the yen. Right? So I'm short on Aussie yen, and I am, not loving it. I'm not enjoying it, but I'm noticing where could this go? Okay, could this go up to this 18127? Yes. So if it comes up into this zone this week, look at the backside of the trend line. We'll revisit this one on Friday for this YouTube session. Okay, for this week in the flex room, we'll revisit this as well because I want to see what price does in or around that 18127 area, because if that's going to be resistance, I definitely want to have some add-on trades here looking for this thing to balance and get my break even as high as possible, so when we do come back down, or if we come back down to decent levels, we have some nice profit on that trade. Okay, I also took a short on CAD yen, and this one at 89.91. Let me see where I'm at on CAD yen. CAD yen is, I'm upside down about 65 pips on this one net, so it's not too bad. Again, weekly levels, daily levels, this one is amazingly overbought with great technical alignments, and if I take oil's alignment, I still think that CAD is due for some nice weakness. So this is oil, and we have a wick high here around 67.50. If oil is going to have this, slow move to the upside, I'm looking for resistance here, and then oil to drop back down into base, the same lows. Same lows. It doesn't have to go lower, but if we came back down at least to this level around 57.50, If we come back down into this pocket area, that would be oil pushing down towards like 5,200 or $52 rather. And just look at this breakout. So do I see oil, lining up for a drop? Yes. I see oil lining up for a drop. Now, whether we come down all the way back to this low, which is around $52, or we come back and we score a point here and we match up with some of these missed weekly pivots. I would say anything below 57.50, we should be profitable on oil to the downside. We should see some decent movements in the CAD because of that, and possibly not just the CAD. This could be also moving commodities in general. So if oil drops, perhaps we see, commodities, raw materials, gold, silver might have an off week if oil ends up dropping. We'll find out. But I want to take a look at those really quickly as well. So here's gold. Gold is on the breakout. I am long on gold. I'm long GLD. I'm long GOLD. And I'm looking to stay long. I think that gold can get back up towards 1960. I think gold can get back up to these highs at 2080. So even if we have a pullback, if this is a little pullback on gold, I still like long. We have not had the type of fake out we had here. We had this breakout and fake out when gold came back down into the channel. For that to happen right now, price would have to close back inside this channel or get back below 1760. So I don't see that happening. I think that we are on a pretty fresh breakout on gold. Any type of pause, I like long. I think that gold has another chance to run to highs. So I want to see what type of return we're looking at here. I'm long on GLD. And if this heads up into that level, that's about a 9.71% move on gold. If we get back to the highs, we're talking about 15%. So does that translate into some stocks? I'm sure it does. So I like long. I like long on gold. Okay. And silver is at 27.72. I'm long on silver from the lows here around $22. And that high is around 28%, 30%. So I might be considering some profit taking on silver. I do have a chart alarm set right here. You can see that little dotted line just at these highs. So that would be about a 27 to 28% move on silver. And I'm looking for this. I might end up taking some profit and taking that cash and reloading. So if I take profit here, I'm looking for this to come back down, buy it again. I want to buy silver again and try to take it back up and have some range trading opportunities. Now, one could argue, well, what if we just hang on to it? What if it breaks up here and goes higher? Well, we have to consider that breakout is a possibility, all right? But we would have to see, I think that gold would have to be, on a crazy good rally. Silver would have to break out and hold very firmly above $30. All right, you can see this price right here. I mean, we technically did not touch $30. We tapped $30 right here only to come back down. Okay, so I could still see silver, for example, slowly making its way back up towards these resistance highs and then selling back off. And so what I'm thinking is if I'm long here, I might take profit at that $30 resistance. If it goes higher, I can always get back in for a fresh breakout. But if I take profit here and this comes back down, I'll be happy I took the profit. I can use that profit to reload at this yearly pivot around $22, $22.50. But for right now, chart alarm set at these highs on silver. I'm looking for gold to continue to stay long. Let's talk about the dollar index really quickly. Okay, dollar index. It could be under some pressure, right? The perfect excuse for the market to stay bearish the dollar, strong stocks would be a terrible job number from Friday, which is what we had. So watch this level, massive multi-year lows around 88.50 on the DXY. I still think that's a reversal pattern. Okay, so I still like the medium-term outlook for some stronger dollar, right? I still like it. And basically because we've had a multi-day sell-off and we're heading back down into multi-year lows, again, maybe for the next 2 to 3 days, the dollar continues to stay weaker and we see that momentum from Friday continue over and it spills over into this week's trading. That's fine. But I think that off of this level, we end up creating a reversal and the dollar gets some of its strength back. And we watch that trade coming over the next, maybe week or two. US dollar index, other instrument, different weights. Same thing here. Okay, aggressive sell-off the last 3-4 days. Could we come back down into this low? Yes. So watch this level, 11.564. Could we come back down into this low and tap the lows and then have a reversal pattern? Yes. So I'm looking for, if it does come back down into these equal lows from January and March, I want to see, do we have disagreement and oversold conditions? Because if we do, my technical outlook does not change on the dollar. All right. Let's take a look at some cryptos as well. Let me talk about this for just a second. I'm going to change up my video. Give me a second here. Okay. Um, Show of whys or yeses. Did anybody catch the highlights or read about Saturday Night Live this weekend? Now, like I'm not holding Dogecoin, right, or Dogecoin, but it was mentioned several times during SNL with Elon Musk. It was expected. I think most people that were long Dogecoin were expecting it. Couple things happened as far as his words, right? We saw that Doge sold off like 30 to 40% over the weekend. Ended up coming back down to like sub 50. It's back up above that now, but it was down to like 40, 45 cents over the weekend from a high of 70. So, long story short, a couple things. If you watch Saturday Night Live, it was pretty funny. If you didn't watch it, no big deal. But in the monologue, it was a Mother's Day special. So in the monologue, his mother came out and she had asked something like, "I hope you have a nice gift for me." He's like, "Oh, I do." And she's like, "It better not be Dogecoin." He's like, "Oh, it is. It is." So that was a little bit of, people were celebrating in the audience. Then he got into the weekend update, which is that section in the middle of Saturday Night Live with Colin Jost, Michael Che, and he came on as a financial expert, and he said, "Please call me the Dogefather." And number one, my impression is I don't think he was supposed to say that because I could see Che's reaction and Joe's reaction to that. That could have been off the cuff. Not that I don't see Elon Musk as a guy that improvises, but nevertheless, I feel like he wanted to say that. Maybe he did because Colin Jost at the end of the weekend update looked actually kind of agitated. Usually he takes everything in stride, but that's just my impression. And the whole segment was, so what is Dogecoin? So what is Dogecoin? And then at the end of it, the line was, it's a hustle. So I mean, again, if you're gonna put a phrase to why it sold off, that could have been why. Anybody that asked me, I had a friend of mine literally text me this morning. Hey Chris, I'm thinking about buying Dogecoin. My answer is, don't buy Dogecoin. That's just my personal opinion. I trade. I'm in nine cryptocurrencies, and Dogecoin is not one of them. And I realize that, yes, if I was at 5 or 6 cents, it'd be exciting to be up 60, 70 cents and you're 10, 11 times your money, whatever. That's awesome. But I don't know, you're buying a meme. You're buying a meme, okay? I think that, yes, I saw that they're going to SpaceX is going to launch something called Dogecoin 1 or Doge 1, whatever. I don't care. So look, the risk. We talked about this on Friday. Okay, cryptocurrencies could be I call it the millennial lottery and the equalizer, right? Because if we're going to see, the chance for people with a little amount of capital make a lot of money on these speculative plays and these growth plays, cryptocurrency is an amazing way to do it. So, I'm just saying, if people are asking me for some type of opinion, Dogecoin is not high on my list of things I would actually put money behind as a speculation play on cryptocurrencies. I would happily buy more Ethereum. I would buy more Litecoin. I would buy more Stellar Lumens. I'd buy more EOS. I'd buy more, Mana, Algorand, Link. There's a lot of coins I would buy versus Dogecoin. But to everyone that buys it, to everyone that's following along, good luck. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Hell, it might go to $1, and I look like I've got egg on my face, but good. I just hope you find a way to protect it. I got a friend of mine that's in Dogecoin, was up 12 grand and lost about half of that, right? Just because of fluctuation. So you got to be willing to ride that out if you're going to hold it. You're holding it to the moon. Is it going to get to the dollar? I don't know where Dogecoin's ultimately going to go. But the point is, little reaction from Saturday Night Live. I thought it was interesting. I think that, everyone knew it was coming. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so back to the charts, but that's my little outlook on some of the cryptos as we go into the charts here. So let's go into Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin is sitting here. Okay, yep, Daniel says, does it matter if Dogecoin's ranked 4 on market cap? I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's obviously getting a lot of play. It's obviously getting a lot of volume behind it. But I still think that the thing to consider is a high percentage of Doge is already mined, and a high percent of owners in Doge are very few people. Like, what I've read is there's like 3 to 5 people that own like 80% of Dogecoin. That's so at some point when that massive percentage decides to take profit, then the whole thing implodes. And I can't think of there's a coin that looks like that. I can't think of what it is. I can't think of what it is. I'll find it, or we'll talk about it again on Friday. So anyway, but Bitcoin, do I think that there's more growth opportunities out there outside of Bitcoin? Yes. We have highs. I've got a chart alarm set at the high and the low on Bitcoin. Let's see what happens. Let's go into Litecoin. Litecoin blew off the highs, which is excellent. We end up getting back up to those 2018 highs. Congratulations, Litecoin. You successfully are back up to the 2018 highs. Now, take a look at the technical structure. Okay, these alignments, when they're connecting those highs, that means that highs are making, or price is making new highs, and that momentum is not. So we see overbought conditions. We see overbought here with divergence. Technically, Litecoin should drop. Okay, now I said this last week. Does this mean that we go up, we pause, and we crash back down, and we just have this continued channel that we can trade over and over? Or is this getting into euphoria? Is this getting into blowing off the highs, capitulation moves, running hot to the moon, right? Look, you know that every trader that's holding these is going to be super, super happy if we just keep going higher and higher and higher, right? But as, if we keep going higher, this makes me want to protect my profits even more. Okay? So here's what's going to happen on Litecoin. If we see this thing pause and head back down, technically, I see that being a better play. Now, that means that I would still look to buy the dips, buy the dips, buy the dips, and try to keep holding Litecoin. Okay? Now, my base in Litecoin is back in 2019. I'm in this thing for like $30 to $40. So Litecoin's all profit. Love it. And if it ends up pausing and going higher, at this point, I'm going to take some of that cash, throw it into a USD wallet, and sit on it and wait for this thing to possibly come, back down. Okay? So I am of the belief that if we see these massive runs and these massive bubbles, essentially, that they look like, they're going to pop, they're going to crash, and we're going to see, the mining costs and all of these will end up drifting a little bit higher, but as price just blows through these levels, if it does, it's going to come back and find them. Okay, Ethereum's another one. Ethereum keeps going through these highs, right? All we had was a little hesitation. We had a little hesitation on Ethereum. That's it. We're at 4,037 or 4137 on Ethereum. Okay, so does this just blow up to these levels? Maybe we get to 5,000. Okay, I did say, traders are with me, the last month or two. I said that if we took out $20,000 on Bitcoin and we ran to 60, then we're looking for a 3 times increase. Okay, and so the previous high in Ethereum was $1,400. So if we go $1,400 times 3, we're looking at $4,200 to kind of match what Bitcoin's move was. So at this point, have we hit 4,200? We're sitting at 4137. Could we drift up towards 42? Possibly. We have weekly pivot, monthly pivot. I promise you, these are going to get filled. I'm not saying it's today. I'm not saying it's this week, right? But pivots are hit on these cryptos. If you don't believe me, look at them. Okay, look at the last time we had this crazy run. The last time we had a crazy run, did we miss pivots? You know we did, right? Did we miss pivots here? Of course. So this run from, $200 all the way up to $1,400, we had pivots. We had daily pivots, weekly pivots, monthly pivots, and guess what? Price found them. We have yearly pivots. Guess what? Price finds them, right? This was the yearly pivot from 2019. Did price come back and find it? It took a year, but this was all of 2019. Then we had 2020 building the base, major support, rallied up, found that yearly pivot, but guess what? We are way, 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 way overstretched. Look at this. We have a yearly pivot right here. That is concerning to know that this could run as crazy as it wants, but eventually mining costs just keep moving higher, and this will end up coming back to balance. We've got lots of pivots here. So I'm just saying, technically speaking, this happens, right? But ride this as long as you possibly can. Enjoy the run, enjoy the profits. But I will say this, don't come crying to any sessions like this if you didn't protect any profits over the next week, 2 weeks, 5 weeks, months, whatever. If this is the best year in cryptocurrencies to date and somehow you're not protecting profits, don't be angry when all of your gains become 75 to 80% less, and you'll have to build up and start over again. So just, again, just don't waste the profits, So, having said that, don't waste the profits, number one. And number two, if you decide that you're going to take profit and it keeps going, don't be mad, right? This is what happens. Like, traders are never satisfied. You take your profits, and instead of getting happy about it, you're so angry because, oh, I should have stayed in. I should have stayed in. And then the flip side of that is you don't take any profits, the thing crashes, and then you're pissed that you lost 30 to 40% of your value, right? So again, if whatever decision I decide to make, I've got to accept that consequence, whether it's in my favor, I miss out, whatever. That's what trading is. Okay? All right, little real talk there. Daniel says, how do you short Ethereum? You'd have to trade it with one of the brokers that let you short it. You could probably trade Bittrex. You could trade Bitfinex. I mean, there's other brokers you can actually pair currency versus currency or crypto versus crypto. We did talk about this, Bitcoin versus Litecoin. Okay, Litecoin is, again, continuing to run up towards the start of this falling wedge. I still expect Litecoin to have the ability to outperform Bitcoin, right? By another, I think we talked about this last week on Friday. Current price right here, I'm looking at Litecoin to go another, probably another 20, 23% outperforming Bitcoin. Okay, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Look at this run. Incredible run. Okay, now, as high as this is 2017, could we still run? Sure. Could we have a pullback? Probably. You'd think so, right? This low, this high, we're going to have some type of pullback. But if we have Ethereum pulling back, I like higher lows for sure. I'll be looking for higher lows. Okay, so keep an eye on it. I just think a pullback is needed and necessary. All right, other ones, I have some decent new highs, new watermarks. Chart alarm set on basic attention token. XLM USD, new highs broken. This is at 72 cents. I'll set a chart alarm here at 79 cents and just see if we hit the highs. Okay, Link, I believe, is over $50 now. We're at $50 on the nose with highs set around 52 and change. So I'll set it at $53. So exciting times for sure. Exciting times. Okay, so chart alarm set. Just keep setting those chart alarms. That's what I'm doing. If we hit new highs, awesome. Every time we hit new highs and I get a chart alarm, I check my balance. I want to see where those levels are at. There's a certain number in my head that I'm looking to protect some profits. And that could be the whole portfolio. But it's not there yet. So I'm going to see if this whole run of 9 coins can continue to grow. And if so, I get to a certain level that I'll be looking to protect. Okay, Ripple. Ripple's at $1.54, chart alarm set at $2, and hopefully Ripple makes its way up towards these $3. Look, I think for Ripple to get back to $3 plus, we're probably going to have to see some answers out of the SEC. We'll have to see maybe a relisting on Ripple to have that happen. I think if that's the case, I think Ripple could make a legit run to $3 and change, maybe even $5 to $10 over the next, maybe it takes 6 months to a year. I'm not sure. So anyway, anything else on the coin on the crypto side? Okay, Doge. I suppose I'll show it, right? Who doesn't want to see Dogecoin? It's all everyone's talking about. We're at 50 cents. Okay, we got as high as 73 cents going into the weekend. And, interesting philosophy to think that, Elon Musk was going to force it on a show, force it to go to $1. So anyway, look, it could be we have this rally, this violent pullback, this rally, this violent pullback. We could still see a rally on Doge. Okay, I'll call it from the technical side. It depends on if this is wave 1 or not. If this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we're going to be in a corrective wave to come back down into 30 cents or lower. Okay, so hear me out. If it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to be in a corrective wave to come back down to this level, which we could see Doge back down to 30 cents or lower. Okay, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we could see a slow rally on Doge, but we could end up breaking these highs. So if you are prepared to take this ride back down towards 30 cents and trying to get back to 70 plus cents, if I'm holding this, I'm just putting myself in the shoes of anybody holding Dogecoin right now. If I'm at 70 cents or higher, I am protecting all of my profits, right? But I could see this thing dropping back to 30 cents or lower. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see if people hate on it or not. Okay. All right. So that's that. Anything else on, let's go stocks. I want to show, if anyone wants a screenshot of this, take a look. I do have a Let me see if I can find that screenshot here. Here we go. If anybody's interested in earnings plays this week, you can take a screenshot of this. I'll share this in the chat. So this is notable earnings this week. I'll post this in the chat right there. So if you want to click on that link, we had some before market open today. We had, let's see here, Trade Desk, Marriott International, XPEL. Today at aftermarket, so after 4 p.m. today, Roblox. I want to check that one actually. RBLX, we might look at pricing that one in. That one was pretty flat from the IPO not too long ago, or actually, I don't think they IPO'd. I think they had a direct listing. Let me check RBLX or Roblox. What the heck is it? RBLX. There it is. Roblox. So we're at $66 and $67. Now, massive user base. Potential. The hard part on earnings is we don't have any history here, so it may be one that I don't really want to play as far as how we set up, straddles or an iron condor to trade some of these earnings. But I am interested in Roblox longer term. Kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like taking advantage of that Minecraft group, right? Like there's just millions and millions and millions of users. There's, Robux, or, they have their in-game currency pair. It's similar to like if you could trade Fortnite as a game, that's kind of what Roblox is. So I'll do a little bit more research, but it's going to be something that if I want to play earnings, it's aftermarket today. Novavax, we got some plays in on our power play strategies for equities on demand this week on NVAX. Anything else? Let me go to the chart and that little link. Where the heck was that? Here it is, right here. So looking at electronic arts, video game sales have been super, super high. QuantumScape, Upstart, let's see, Wix.com, Wendy's Company, Sonos, BILI. That has a Thursday's earnings report. Hopefully that's positive. We have a little power play running on that one as well. Disney, we are playing a really nice neutral directional strategy on DIS. Airbnb has earnings on Thursday. Coinbase has earnings on Thursday. Dash has earnings on Thursday. So we've got some pretty heavy lineups on earnings this week. So we'll take a look at those inside equities on demand class this week. In fact, we're going to be live here in about 15 minutes. So any final questions for me? So my little recap for the week is this. I'll type up a little recap and then we'll wrap up. Dollar CAD. So Charles, you know my story on dollar CAD, man. I'm long dollar CAD. It's at 2167. We have a monthly pivot. We've got a weekly pivot. I know that we could drift down into 200, 1.00 or 1.200, right? But I'm looking for a bounce. I think that it's oil. I think oil has to hold at 67. If oil drops, that's where our dollar CAD gets some love. Okay, so I am, again, holding dollar CAD, 5-wave completion, major support at multi-year lows. I'm holding dollar CAD long. So am I early to the game on dollar CAD? Yeah, I'm early, right? But I'm going to hold long dollar CAD. And again, I'm holding long, but I'm holding small, and I'm still looking to add more to it. So trades that I like this week, and I'll type this up, and I'm going to wrap up here in just a few minutes. So let's go to cryptos. Okay, set alerts at recent highs. Keep monitoring. Keep protecting. Okay, conditions, I'll put technically, are, I'm going to put imbalanced. Okay, we are seeing imbalanced currencies. We are seeing unbalanced. Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, or Bitcoin is still sideways, right? But unbalanced moves, imbalanced moves, which means that's why there's pivots. That's why when the market, and that's the thing is I don't know where it's going to stop going up, right? But at some point it's going to come back and find some pivots, going to rebalance. So if we keep setting chart alarms, new highs, new highs, new highs, it just makes me more eager to protect because eventually we're going to see some of those profits disappear. Okay, so that's my crypto stance, is keep setting chart alarms, keep monitoring. Okay, FOREX, the DXY US dollar, likely revisiting January to March lows. Okay, still like USD long in 1 to 3 month outlook. Okay, why? Tapering talk. Now, again, it's not coming from the Fed, but normalization, tapering talk, scaling back bond purchases, normalization of interest rates. Hasn't happened yet, but this talk is going to have to happen at some point. Okay, Bank of Canada is starting it, Bank of England starting it. The narrative, if it changes, we're going to have to look and see what the TNX, okay, the 10-year Treasury, we're going to have to watch that. 10-year Treasury last Friday dipped down to 1.48, ran all the way back up to 1.58 to finish flat for the day. So we are seeing some high volatility out of that 10-year note. Okay, VIX smashed back to lows. Okay, poor jobs report. Now I'll put stocks and VIX. Stocks, VIX meaning volatility. Okay, poor jobs report gives Fed the support to stay dovish for now. Okay, but inflation is real. It's happening. Okay, cars, houses, commodities. You go to the store, you feel it. You go to the gas pump, you feel it. You're buying things, you feel it. Okay? So it can change our consumerism, because if things are way more expensive, and again, I know it's like, well, people are revenge buying. Well, right, but if people had any awareness, you're spending money on things that are more expensive now. Okay? And if the 10-year note trickles up towards 2% or higher, then mortgage rates go up. We're going to see, we have low inventory in housing right now. Everyone's buying houses left and right. Everyone's closing on houses and throwing money at them. You're essentially buying high and selling high, right? So it's awesome to hear these stories of selling houses and everyone's making a lot of money. Fantastic, because that doesn't happen all the time, right? But selling high to also buy high. So you're still stuck at some point. You're still stuck. And if interest rates start to rally, then people are possibly going to be upside down in houses that they can't afford. If you can't lock in rates that you can afford, and all of a sudden over the next 6 to 12 months we see interest rates rising where it's impossible to close on a 30-year note that's 3% or less, it's going to change the dynamic of housing. It's going to pause the markets a little bit. So inflation is real. It's happening. Okay. So, but I do think that with the Fed having a poor jobs report, it gives them the ammunition for this month to keep the narrative running. Okay, jobs is terrible. We're going to stay accommodative, blah, 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 blah. But at some point, this is going to have to be a real story that, is why the market is going to show some signs of overheating, and we can already see the technicals aligning this way. So I would say for this week, last week was a really interesting week. The market had this, vengeful bullish move on Thursday, Friday. I think we're going to continue to push that a little bit. I did have some chart alarms triggered. I did get activated into a couple of trades. I want to take a look at those this morning. And I've got to talk more about this in equities on demand. But I did get a couple trades filled already this morning. Okay. All right. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for mentioning that. So, yeah, look, everyone, we've had about 60, 70 people watching this morning on just YouTube. We have some others on Facebook and Twitter. So thanks for watching. Thanks for coming in today. I got to wrap things up. I would appreciate this. If you take a second, just hit that thumbs up button for me. I would appreciate it. It goes a long way to helping this video, make its way up through the YouTube algorithm and gets this video seen by more people. I hope it's helping, right? Stocks, options, futures, Forex, cryptos. We'll talk about a lot of stuff. My outlook for the week is Forex. I'm pretty much sitting tight. I do like dollar CAD long. I like CAD yen short. I'm going to see what the pound pairs do this week. I might look at a pound dollar opportunity this week. I will also be looking at, I probably have my robots doing pretty well on things like Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, CAD Swiss, Euro CAD, Pound CAD. If we can get filled on either my Perfect Storm, making some profits like it usually does. The Price Action Pro getting filled on a couple new trades. So we'll take a look at that. Okay. But we've got some currency pairs to talk about in the Flex Trading Room this week. We got lots of stocks and options to talk about this week in equities on demand. We'll see what type of earnings plays we can get where you've got some power plays that have already been filled. I have any questions for me today? Any questions for me today? All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Again, appreciate the thumbs up. Thanks for tuning in today. Be back on Friday, same time, same place, 9 a.m. for the Pulver Report. And look for some more videos dropping in the next couple of weeks on my playlist. Have a great week. Look forward to trading with all of you this week, and let's do our best. All right, take care. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.